But since then,
yeah.
I think he's the guy getting the results, right? I haven't actually heard from Nam in a while. Wellmu is his other competition. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. And then Protosser, but he also kind of faded out a little bit.
All right, well, here we are into the first game of the second half of the second group stage. And there will be the third group stage later on. Here, up to the top left, as the red Zerg player, it is himself. It is E.G. Jaedong.
Yes.
There's the dong.
Really fun stream to watch because he is actually the fastest player I've ever seen play StarCraft.
He is. And when he wins games, he actually comes up to you, shakes your hand, and goes, ding dong.
He probably should start, at least, yeah.
Look at that keyboard, Jeff.
Razor.
What are you proud of that keyboard?
It's pretty. Remember, we're excellent premier commentators.
We are the top-tier premier commentators doing that right
Tell
now.
us about his opponent, please.
Down here, as the blue Protoss, it is, of course, Elfi.
And what team is Elfi on these days? I know he had a personal sponsor from ROG, Asus ROG.
Elfi's on a U team. It's a Finnish-only team by the name, I think it's ENS.
Oh, okay.
Team
Very
ENS.
good.
I'm not too sure who's on it. I can actually look it up for you, though.
Finland actually has a great scene. It's like Namo, Wellmu, Protosser, Elfi. They had that Terran player. What is his name? Blanking on that. But they actually have like 6 or 7.
Zeril is the other guy that's on his team. That's for sure.
Yeah, like GM level, really good European players. It's really cool. From Finland, I don't know you to suspect Finland to be one of the top countries, but they are.
Look at this. Look at that timing of the forge here. I mean, it's about to hit 70 supply, and he already has his forge done. We have a pylon coming in.
What is this pylon?
It's a pylon on the high ground.
This is I mean, there is a completed forge, and Elfi is weird enough. This could finish and then begin to be. No, I canceled it. Okay, and he's happy with that. 25 minerals for a canceled pylon, and then if you look at all the drones and the missed mining time, it equates to pretty good there. Oh, he just said it to us at least. That's good.
That's great. I got a funny story I'll tell you about that later on. Stuff like this.
All right, so Elfi does cancel both the pylons, which means he's just going to settle for delaying the hatch. Jaedong smartly puts down the hatch at the third base spot. A slight inconvenience just in that his queen will have some travel time there. This probe does get found, though, which does mean that the cannon rush threat should be shut down. A lot of times if that probe hides and the Zerg's not diligent about looking for said probe, it can sneak back around behind a mineral line and drop those cannons for a very advantageous beginning for the Protoss player.
Alright, so Jaedong does manage to get his third hatchery down in his natural location. Behind this, Elfi. I mean, if you look at Elfi and his attributes as a player,
yeah.
Nice wall off there by Elfi, does get that in last minute. I would not be surprised to see some very aggressive two-base plays from him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely of the aggressive ilk. That's just kind of what he's known for. And if you look at the map Belshire Vestige as well, this third base, while not ranking like in the last of all the maps in terms of how easy it is to take that third base, it is of the more difficult of the maps. It's not an Akalon Waste where that third is kind of gifted to you, which does, again, kind of promote and suggest two-base play. Also, if you're looking at Jaedong, can you still hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, just making sure. Jaedong is, his mechanics, his macro will outpace you as the game goes on. Elfi kind of famous for being slower.
Yeah.
That matters a lot less earlier in the game. If you can do it with fewer units, you're going to be better off than against the guy that's got like 8 octopus arms and doing it really well late game.
So if Elfi wants to win this series against Jaedong, it's probably better to win it in the 10 to 13, 14 minute mark.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, it's coming up to the 6-minute mark, so just bear that in mind, everyone at home, as Elfi is chrono boosting out a Zealot and a Stalker with the Mothership core,
yeah.
So he's going to get himself across the map quite early here. Starting to put a bit of pressure on. Is that double Zealot, or is it double Stalker?
Okay.
Double Zealot, okay.
Yeah, just now starting Warp Gate upgrade. I mean, not a big deal, but look, the Soccer's about to pop out, and the Mothership core is coming out, so a little bit of a mistake. But I'm curious about the tech, because chrono boosting the gateway and the Mothership core, that's okay. You can do that. You should be facing slow lanes, so it's advantageous to get them out there, get them to work early. But a lot of times, the second that Cybernex core finishes, your tech starts to take shape. And right now, Elfi is leading us on with nothing. We don't see anything coming out from him.
Well, he's lost his 2 Zealots there to just a bunch of Zerglings, and he may lose his Stalker if he's not careful. We do see +1 attack being started behind for Elfi, and also a Twilight Council coming down quite early here. And if you look at the, and when I say early, it doesn't really connect well with +2 finishing, for example.
Right.
So, I mean, what's he really looking for with this?
I have to imagine Blink. Because the Spore Crawler is so much more easily made, you no longer even need an evolution chamber. It just, you can make it, basically. DTs, while they obviously still definitely have utility, and they're more inexpensively made, which makes them, again, more attractive, I feel like the Blink is what Elfi's going to nominate for. And like you said, the +2 attack is not necessarily really well synced here. There is that Blink upgrade. But before he ever attacks, he should... Whoa, wow, now the Robo. Never mind, it's like a safe, weird macro play, I imagine.
All right, well, we'll find out as the game does come on here. Behind this, Jaedong's, deflected his opponent quite well, and he's really focused on getting his creep spread from this third base pushed out there. And I think the biggest point for Jaedong to probably focus on now is kind of getting some information, get some intel on what the hell Elfi's doing, because behind closed doors, it can be anything. And Jaedong, I'm pretty sure he doesn't really know exactly who Elfi is and what he's capable of. I don't know if you've had words with him or not.
I did not get the chance. A lot of times I'll be over there with the guys letting them know, especially our Koreans, because they, like you said, they actually would never know who Elfi is. And again, no slight to Elfi, it's just that Jaedong does not have him on his radar. But this build is like, this takes me back to 2010 Metalopolis, like the 7-gate Blink Stalker Robo, kind of 2 or 3 base macro play, but very much so like a 2 base safe-ish play, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really happen that way this day and age. Protoss players have kind of learned, no, I need to be pretty hardcore about my 3rd base or pretty hardcore about my 2 base. And they'll take risks like not adding the Robo in the name of more Stalkers.
Well, Jaedong's currently sitting at only 50 or only 60 drones at this point, and he's building a lot of units. And especially as Roach speed's on its way. So if we are going to see Elfi try to take a 3rd base momentarily here as he's about to throw down the pile and
Elfi's
Nexus,
falling for it.
There's going to be a lot of units coming his way. A lot of units.
I mean, he definitely is going to have Blink, but the problem here is he's just now adding like his... this looks like it's going to be a total of 5 sentries, which is about what you want these days. You don't want your 10 sentries of the days of old, but he's just now adding them, so his force fields are going to be quite limited, which means if Jaedong really pours it on, which it kind of looks like he is, because like you called out earlier, it was 60-some-odd drones and then units, and that seems to be what he's going to be doing here.
Well, he's put a lot of units, but he has just thrown down his gases on the 3rd base and also a Hydralisk Den. So he's built a lot of units, but he's going to have to drone up to actually make use of those extractors. But he's still got a really comfortable army. I'm a little confused with what Jaedong's planning at the moment, whether he was just building a lot of units in anticipation for something coming, or if he was looking to go across the map. But either way, if he doesn't actually do anything here, of course he could have drawn and got the Hydra Den a little bit earlier and sooner. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting because this 3rd goes down roughly at about 11, or actually like 10:30, 10:45. That's actually pretty regular timing, all things said. So I'm not sure if Jaedong was worried about a 2-base attack just because the 3rd base was fairly average. But then you and I were starting to think he was looking to maybe cancel the 3rd, but then he didn't really even do that. So I'm not sure what the read was here for Jaedong.
All right, well, Jaedong does have the Infestation Pit and a secondary Evolution Chamber coming down too. Wouldn't be surprised to see Swarm Host in this play.
I wouldn't either. I think this might be a hole in Jaedong's play, to be honest with you. Like, I don't like the half-assed Hydralisk Den into Swarm Host. I feel like he mediocrizes both. Like, this is a mostly unused Hydralisk Den so far. Yep. And he doesn't really have the resources to, like, well, actually, as I say that, he's actually floating 1,400 minerals, so never mind everything I was about to say. But usually what ends up happening is you're, like, trickling out Swarm Hosts that aren't supported by a Spire for Corruptors, and you don't have a number of Hydralisks, so those Swarm Hosts aren't that dangerous, in my opinion.
Jaedong does throw a couple of Zerglings into the mix, picks up a couple of probes, but here come 10 Swarm Hosts.
Yeah.
They do,
but again, not supported, though. For now. I mean,
well, for now, but with the 4th base coming down, I'm pretty sure he'll want to continue to upgrade off his double evolution chambers that he has, and also throw down the Spire very shortly. With 12 Swarm Hosts, you don't really need more than that at this point.
Right.
From here on out, he should start to bank his gas and then start to build support around them, I suppose. But 13 Swarm Hosts, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. You want about 18, so if he gets up to that number, that's the area you want to be at. But I'll tell you what, Elfi's on a timer. So you see this Hallucinated Phoenix going out. If they can spot and inform him that he's facing straight Swarm Host, like no Spire, no Hydros, just straight Swarm Host, he needs to get out. Well, he's adding a second Robo, I believe. I think I saw that. But he also needs, like, whoa, okay, boom, 2 Warp Prisms. I'm out on the map, and I'm actually taking a very quick 4th and maybe a 5th base. But if he doesn't, if he sits back, and these Swarm hosts do get that support, and Jaedong gets a 5th base on top of this, Belcher Vestige becomes a near impossibility for Protoss.
He only has one robotics facility at the moment, but he has now spotted the Swarm host. As we can see, Jaedong's starting to push up this ramp a little bit. Blink's going to work out really well for him. He can blink back and try not to lose too many units to these locusts. But there's the second robotics facility, as you said, as well as +3 attack on the way.
Yeah, we do have a couple of Zerglings in the back of that 3rd base. So we've actually seen this a few times. You've commentated, Huck, in this weird situation where he's having a tough time getting a 3rd. That's what I forecast for Elfi right now. Like, Elfi's already battling Locust, which is this weird, cancerous, like, you're not dying, but you're slowly taking damage.
Yeah.
The danger here, again, is, though, if Jaedong with these unsupported Swarmos gets his Locust too far away from the Swarmos, because Roaches won't protect him. Force fields go down, the Swarmos are trapped, and they die. And once they die, Zerg's in a lot of trouble. But if he can go through this phase where he's already doing damage and then joined by Corruptors, then Jaedong's in a super powerful position.
Yeah, I love the Boru on all the external bases that Elfi could attempt to try. We also have a 3rd evolution chamber coming down here for Jaedong too, so I think he's going to, well, he will be starting his melee upgrades, and for future notice can go over to Broodlords and start the melee upgrades for them, and also potentially Ultras, just depending on what we see from Elfi. If he sticks on Colossus and Stalkers, then absolutely we could see Ultras come in later on. But for now, you know, Jaedong set himself up really nice. He could even afford to take a 5th base on the left-hand side at this point. There's nothing really stopping him.
Yeah, it's just kind of going to it's when he decides. So he's at 2,000 minerals. He's actually at 190 supply. What I'd like to see, and what he's doing right now, and I love this about Jaedong, he's adding so much stack defenses. Look at all his bases.
Yeah.
Actually, just look at his one base, because right now that's the only one he's doing it. He is doing his main base, which is great too, but he does want to think about bolstering those back doors. But also, and this is a soapbox I've been up on for a while, he's got Zerglings burrowed at the potential 4th base spots.
Yeah.
Jaedong sees and knows all. He's well informed.
Just like he was in Brutal, man. Zerglings everywhere, Overlords everywhere. And he's about to break through here with Roaches. Roaches at this point, not so useful. So if he's able to do a lot of damage, a recall goes to the space so he can try and get back to defend it. And he will defend it. Yeah. But these Roaches definitely just trade off. I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't want them. So he's killed a couple of probes there, quite a few probes.
This is annoying too.
What does Elfi, at this point on 3 bases, need to do to get a lead in this game? I don't think he's leading, especially with all these upgrades and the future play that Jaedong has. What does Elfi need to do to grasp this game?
Well, it's going to come down to the Colossus. Like, he needs that ridiculous Colossus count that we thought was a bad idea. You need like 7 or 8 of them. And then he's got to have that standard, awesome Elfi army control where he actually focuses down the Corruptors really well with his Stalkers and kites back, and then he can snowball downhill with the gigantic Colossus count. But the reason why that's really hard is because Zerg's getting this position where they can start trading out. Like, these Corruptors, they just picked off a Colossus or 2, and he doesn't really care. Like, he can lose 3 or 4 Corruptors for that trade all day long because he can afford to do that, whereas Elfi, every Colossus that dies is one step further into death's door.
All right, well, Elfi had 190 supply with +3 attack here, getting +1 shields, is about to finish 2. Ideal would want to try and establish a 4th base at this point. Now he's starting to move out and get a bit eager. But he's got the Mothership Core. If that Mothership Core goes down, he's going to be very, very careful with any fight he takes.
Well, Elfi, if he makes a blitz up that ramp, he can go in towards the natural. It's a little bit of a scary position here for Jaedong. Jaedong's going for the Motion Core, focus it down, but at the cost of a lot of his Corruptors. This is that kind of situation I was talking about. Elfi gets a favorable trade there. He's fine with losing the Mothership Core. Of course, he'd love to have it, but he doesn't mind losing it. Corruptors moving in to flank on the Colossus. One loses half its health, but that's it. And all of a sudden, Jaedong is in trouble.
And look at these Force Swords coming down. Excellent Force Swords here. Well, actually, I say that. There's the 4th one comes down. Much, much better here from Elfi. If only the Mothership Core was alive, because he can go in the main base, do a lot of damage, and get out. But, oh, he turned around and actually jumps on top of the Swarm Host.
Yeah, that's actually not the best idea. They're going to do so much damage right off the bat.
Oh my god, all the Swarm Hosts, they're almost all gone.
Yeah, but this is, I mean, the Colossus are gone, and watch what the Locusts do. Goodbye, everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a weird situation. So, if there's a 4th base behind this, I'm like, whoa, Elfi's way back in the game. But look at the supplies, Sean. It's 187 versus 111. 2,500 minerals that he can't spend, and now here comes 1,000,000 lings.
Jaedong just made 120 lings.
Oh, I was off by a lot.
I'm sorry to correct you on that.
Looked like 1,000,000 to me, though.
It was very close. The 4th base from Elfi, that borrowed Zergling is preventing him from taking that 4th. If that was there, look, he's still trying to do it. He can't get there.
These poor Zealots.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, why did we get left behind? They're getting smashed. There's now enough Corruptors where you don't make Colossus, by the way, at this point. You're just done making Colossus, because without many Corruptors, you're like, well, what do I do? And all of a sudden, these Lings are going to go and destroy that Nexus. Well, oh, there was a Colossus. Well, that guy got one laser beam in.
Yeah, one laser beam in and immediately out of the game. There's a lot of Corruptors and 10 more Swarm Hosts on the way. So where was Elfi's downfall? Was it his attempt to break to the natural? No fourth base?
And Warp Prism. You have to exploit the lack of mobility. There was a chunk of time there where Jaedong had roaches, he had Swarm Hosts, and that was it. And he was mid-map. And a lot of times what you can do is you Warp Prism in 9 Zealots in the main base, so they send the roaches back, the Swarm Hosts get forgotten, you surround, Force Field, crush, and it's a different game. But without that ability to say, hey, your attention needs to be elsewhere, Jaedong is able to focus down on the Swarm Host and not make a mistake, and that's when it becomes really hard for Elfi.
Well, Elfi's climbing back up to 150 supply here, but he just doesn't have the army necessary to be able to take out Jaedong here. He's got a lot of dead weight in the air, but spines on this right-hand side, a Swarm Host on the left, and a lot of them coming down too. These Zealots are going to get shredded rather fast.
The only purpose of Zealots in a PvZ when Swarm Hosts are abound is to be fighting where the Swarm Hosts are not, and that means killing a main base, attacking spine crawlers at a fourth, or something like that. But Locust, they chew through Zealots like there's no tomorrow. The Corruptors are hunting around looking for a target. They won't find one. Elfi is going to go to Storm. But with his main mind out, his natural thinning, and his third under constant duress, I don't mean to be that commentator that kills the excitement for people, but guys,
kill it.
We're watching a dead man walking right now.
Kill it.
He's a dead man.
With the Great Aspire coming in, these Corruptors will no longer be useless. They're going to go over, as Jaedong has 200 supply at the moment, as he just built 20 roaches.
Yeah.
But he will be able to use the Corruptors to go over to the Broodlers very shortly. And what does Elfi have to combat, 8 Broodlers behind Swarm Host?
No.
Not too much at the moment. Down to 137 supply. He's got a bunch of Zealots running up north, but there's 20 roaches that have just been made with a bunch of spine crawlers defending this natural, so this is not going to work out too well either.
Yeah, I mean, Jaedong has shut the door. One of the nice things about this Swarm Host play, too, is you're used to Zergs being on, 9 bases. But with Swarm Host, it's actually more advantageous to have a very secure, 4 bases and then a 5th. You don't need the map like Zergs used to have because your Swarm Hosts are very hardy. They're going to get that cost effectiveness that Zergs aren't used to. But where they fall is if they have too many bases that they then don't have stacked defenses at, all of a sudden the Swarm Host becomes a burden, essentially. But on a secure 4 or 5 base in a very slow playstyle like this, Jaedong is safe, and there's not really much Elfi could do.
All right, well, Jaedong's coming in with the doorbell finisher here. As the Swarm Hosts move into the natural location. A couple of Storms come down to bait these Corruptors off as they target down the Mothership core, and that shall fall. Corruptors at this point can easily fall back and morph into Broodlords.
Yeah.
But Jaedong, if he breaks through this third base, there's absolutely no hope for Elfi. He's down 100 supply already. There's almost no help anyway, as the last couple of units get warped in. Elfi, I don't even know where he's going. He's going to this right-hand side.
He doesn't know.
Couple of Colossus caught. Oh my gosh, they fall down easily.
There goes the Observer as well.
Yeah, that's not looking good.
Elfi's like, you know what? I'm going to go back to that forest of spine crawlers and take a crack at it.
I'm going to storm the spine crawlers. It's not going to work out too good. Corruptors do come back to storm something here, and a couple of them do die. But still, the third base compromise.
At what cost?
But at what cost?
At what cost?
But at what cost? Here is the